The Zephyrian delegation had been very clear about the rules. Commander Sarah Chun remembered their exact words as she watched the small, furry creatures rolling around the research station's main corridor. "Do not approach the young ones, Ambassador." Kefir had warned, his forearms gesticulating frantically. "The Vorthic cubs are sacred. Their parents will sense any foreign contamination and respond with lethal force. Your species' tendency toward emotional attachment ... will only bring destruction." That was 3 weeks ago. Now, as Sarah observed Dr. Marcus Webb gently scratching behind the ears of a purring cub the size of a golden retriever, she wondered how everything had gone so wonderfully wrong. The first contact with the Vorthic had been tense. A species of 8-foot-tall, bear-like beings with crystalline claws and telepathic abilities. They had initially viewed humans as potential threats to their nomadic lifestyle. The Zephyrians, acting as intermediaries, had arranged this cultural exchange on the neutral research station orbiting Kepler 442b. The Vorthic had arrived with their entire pack, including 6 cubs ranging from what appeared to be toddler to teenage equivalents. The adult Vorthic were intimidating creatures, their dark fur rippling with bioluminescent patterns that indicated mood and intent. The cubs, however, were different. Smaller, with oversized eyes and playful energy that reminded every human on the station of puppies and bear cubs combined. Despite the warnings, the inevitable had happened within hours of the Vorthic's arrival. Dr. Webb, the station's xenobiologist, had been conducting his routine observations when one of the smallest cubs had wandered away from its pack. The little creature had somehow managed to activate a door panel and found itself trapped in the observation deck. Its distressed chirping had echoed through the station's corridors. While the adult Vorthic searched frantically and the Zephyrian diplomats wrung their tentacles in despair, Webb had simply walked up to the cub, knelt down, and offered his hand. The cub had sniffed cautiously, then pressed its fuzzy head against his palm. The expected carnage never came. Instead, when the adult Vorthic finally located their missing offspring, they found it curled up peacefully in Webb's lap, both of them, napping in a patch of artificial sunlight. The adult's bioluminescent patterns had shifted from the angry red of battle readiness to the soft blue of curiosity. That was the beginning of the most unusual first contact scenario in human history. Over the following days, the cubs had systematically adopted every human on the station. They followed the crew members around, learned to operate doors and elevators, and even figured out how to access the food dispensers. Lieutenant Torres discovered one cub attempting to help with engine maintenance, somehow knowing exactly which tools to hand her. Engineer Park found 3 cubs had reorganized his workshop with startling efficiency. The adult Vorthic watched these interactions with growing fascination. Through the Zephyrian translators, they began asking questions. How did humans remain so calm around aggressive young? Why did they offer help without expectation of dominance? What was this strange behavior they called play? Commander Chun learned that Vorthic society was rigidly hierarchical. Adults maintained strict discipline, and cubs were trained from birth to follow orders without question. The concept of fun was alien to them, as was the idea of cross-species emotional bonding. "Your cubs do not fear us," Matriarch Gortha had observed through the translator, her massive form casting shadows across the observation deck. "They treat us as ... pack?" "In a way, yes," Chun had replied, watching as her communications officer taught 2 cubs how to play chess. "Humans have always been social creatures. We bond easily, especially with the young of any species." The Zephyrians remained convinced that disaster was imminent. "The cubs are being contaminated with alien concepts," Ambassador Kefir insisted. "When they return to Vorthic space, they will be outcasts. The pack will reject them." But the matriarch had been thinking. She spent long hours observing the human-cub interactions, noting how the cubs had become more creative, more communicative, more ... joyful. For the first time in centuries, young Vorthic were laughing. The breakthrough came when Dr. Webb introduced the concept of bedtime stories to the cubs. As he narrated tales of human exploration and friendship among the stars, not only did the cubs listen with rapt attention, but their parents began gathering around as well. Soon, the entire Vortex pack was attending nightly story sessions. "We have observed something remarkable," the matriarch announced on the final day of the exchange. "Our young have learned new ways of thinking. They question, they create, they express joy. These are not contaminations, they are gifts." The Zephyrians looked mortified, but the matriarch continued. "We propose a permanent exchange. Some of, our cubs will remain here to learn human ways, and we invite human young to visit our world. Perhaps both species will grow stronger through this friendship." As Commander Chun watched the cubs clinging to their human friends, refusing to board the transport without promises of future visits, she realized that the Zephyrians had been right about one thing. Humans did have a dangerous tendency toward emotional attachment. It was exactly that tendency that might save both species. The cubs' parents, once so protective and rigid, now carried themselves differently. Their bioluminescent patterns showed not just the traditional emotions of hierarchy and duty, but new ones, affection, curiosity, and hope. As the first permanent exchange program in galactic history was formalized, Sarah smiled. Sometimes the most dangerous human trait was also their greatest strength. The inability to see alien young as anything other than children who needed love, guidance, and a good bedtime story. The universe, it seemed, had just become a much more interesting place.